What's up, Carptastic ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Wizard Wednesday challenge in this PTCGO series. If you want to skip the explanation about what the Wizard challenge is all about, just click the annotation on the top left of the screen or the first timestamp in the description. If you want to skip the entire deck analysis and go straight to the battles, just click the annotation on the top right or the second timestamp in the description. So the Wizard Wednesday challenge is a challenge that consists of 3 steps. In a first step, the deck wizard from the PTCGO creates a deck for us based around a certain Pokemon duo. In a second step, I get to adjust the list, but my final list may not have more than 10 differences with the original deck wizard's list. That means I need to think carefully about which cards I want to put in, which cards I want to take out, or which cards I want to replace, because in a third step, we will take the list to the battles and see if we can pull off a much desired win. So that means I need to try and make the deck as viable as it can be within the constraint of these 10 differences that we put on ourselves. The 10 differences with the original deck wizards list. And I don't know if you know it, but the deck wizard is kind of famous or notorious for creating pretty bad deck lists. So that's why this is called a challenge. In the last episode, I asked you for feedback about the Pokemon duo for today's episode. Unfortunately, no one actually gave me a Pokemon duo for today's episode, so I'll just pick one myself. And we'll actually build a Dragon deck today in Standard. A Dragon deck, since I actually haven't done many Dragon decks on my channel, so might as well start with a Dragon deck in the Wizard Challenge. We will build a deck around Hydreigon EX, or the deck wizard will build a deck around Hydreigon EX, as well as around, where is it? Oh, here it is. What was that? I'm not sure. Just ignore me what I said there. Here it is, Latios EX. With the fast raid, if you go first, you can use this attack on your first turn. Very good actually, 40 damage for just a Psychic Energy. And then Light Pulse, not that good, does 110 damage for 4 energies, 1 Water, 2 Psychic and 1 Colorless. But it does have a very nice effect, prevent all effects of your opponent's attacks except damage done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. Latios EX could actually be a pretty good counter against the Jolteon EX from the Generation set, because the Jolteon EX prevents attacks from basic Pokemon with its second attack, Flash Ray, does 70 and then prevents attacks from basic Pokemon. And Latios is a basic Pokemon, but if we hit for Light Pulse, we actually deny that effect of Jolteon's attack, and could actually knock out Jolteon with a Latios EX, because next time our Latios EX will damage the Jolteon EX. But anyways, that's just a specific example here. And then there is Hydreigon EX with Dragon Road. If there is any stadium card in play, the retreat cost of each of your Dragon Pokemon is 2 less. So this synergizes well with the Latios EX, because Latios EX has 2 retreat cost. Basically, if we have an Hydreigon in play, the retreat cost will be free for the Latios EX. And then also a Shred for 3 energies, you get to do 80, and this attack's damage isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So again, Hydreigon EX is actually a pretty good counter against against Jolteon EX, just like the second attack of Latios. A bit easier to use because it only requires 3 energies instead of the 4 from Latios Light Pulse. It does knock out Jolteon EX in 2 hits, because Jolteon EX only has 160 hit points, and 2 times 80 is still 160. But anyways, without further ado, let's take a look at the list from the deck wizard. And there it is. Wow, okay, so I think this is actually pretty decent on the first look. Yeah. So we, again, as always, the deck wizard generates a list with 20 Pokemon, 20 trainers, and 20 energies. Sometimes there's 19 trainers or 19 energies, which is kind of strange. But this time there are indeed 60 cards in the deck, and we have a lot of different Pokemon. We have Giratina EX with Chaos Wheel and Renegade Pulse. Probably most of you are familiar with this Pokemon. If not, just pause and read the card. And of course our Hydreigon EX, 4 copies 4 copies of the Latios EX, and then 4 Mega Latios EX as well with Sonic Ace. Discard 2 energy attached to this Pokemon, and then it does 120 to 1 of your opponent's Pokemon. This could very well be used to knock out a Shaman on your opponent's bench, but it's not that good of a card besides that use, or for sniping some benched Pokemon like Shaman EX, because you have to discard those 2 energies, and that's a bit of a problem. Then 2 Lugia EX and 2 Shaman EX, which I really like, and that will help us setting up. Then we have Full Heal, 3 copies, remove all special conditions from your active Pokemon. 2 Sail Fossil, very useful here, very useful. Just like these Spirit Links, Tyranitar Spirit Links, 3 of those. 4 Startling Megaphone, 1 Misty's Determination, 1 Pokemon Center Lady. I am definitely okay with that. 4 Psychic's Third Eye. That is some form of draw support, so at least there's that. And 2 Silent Lab, which is not very advantageous for us, since that would get rid of the Regenerate Renegade Pulse ability and the Dragon Road ability as well. So I'll probably get rid of that stadium. And then a lot of different energies, 12 Psychic, 2 Darkness, 2 Grass, and 4 Water. So let's see here. I'll be right back. I'll make some adjustments to the list, and I will go over the differences with this original list. Alright, I am back with the adjusted deck list, so I think it's time that we go over the changes that I made, and we'll start at the top left and work our way down to the bottom right. In the top left, it is possible to notice that I lowered the count of the Giratina EX from 4 copies to 2 copies, so that's the first change I made. The reason I lowered the count of the Giratina EX and not of the Hydreigon EX and Latios EX is that, well, first off, we wanted to build or have the PTCGO deck wizard build a deck around Hydreigon EX and Latios EX, but more importantly, the fact that Latios EX can attack with 1 energy and Hydreigon EX can attack with 3 energies attached, while the Giratina EX does need 4 energies, so it's a bit easier to start attacking with Latios EX and Hydreigon. Latios EX obviously the preferred attacker instead than with Giratina EX. So that's the main reason I lowered the count from 4 to 2, and that's the first change. Then second change is that I replaced Lugia EX with 4 max elixirs. These elixirs will help power up the Latios, Giratina, and the Hydreigon EX to perform Chaos Wheel or a Shred or a Light Pulse, since those attacks need a fair amount of energies. Third change is that I replaced all of the Mega Latios EX with Trainer's Mail for consistency, for drawing into our max elixirs, for example. Number 4 is that I took out the Sail Fossils and replaced them with Ultra Balls, obviously to get out our Pokemon, since I think the Ultra Balls are a little bit more convenient for getting out our Pokemon than those Sail Fossils that were in the deck. Number 5 is the replacement of the full heals with VS Seekers for consistency to get access to our supporters, since I also put in some more supporters. For example, the Sycamore number 6, I replaced the water energies, two of those I believe that were in the deck, with 4 Sycamores, since just having the Psychic's Third Eye as draw support I think isn't sufficient, or would not be sufficient, so I put in 4 copies of Sycamore for the water energies. That's number 6. Number 7 is the replacement of the Silent Lab with Parallel City. This stadium can help us to, or can prevent our opponent from benching a ton of Pokemon, as well as reduce damage to our Pokemon if our opponent is playing Grass, Fire, or Water Pokemon. That's number 7. Number 8 is the inclusion or the replacement of the Spirit Links, the Tyranitar Spirit Links. As much as I like them, I think it's more advantageous to include Fighting Fury Belts, seeing as though we play all basic Pokemon, and these Fighting Fury Belts will give our Pokemon more than 200 hit points and add 10 damage to it, which is actually pretty important, since adding 10 damage to Fast Rate means it does 50, and then if you then hit for a Light Pulse, you're hitting for 120. 120 plus 50 is 170, and that's one of those magical numbers, one of those magical hit point numbers for EXs. That's number 8. Number 9 is the replacement of Grass energies, 2 of those with 4 Double Dragon energies. I think it's these are a little bit more helpful to power up our Pokemon than the grass energies, since we all run Dragon Pokemon except for the Shamans. And number 10, finally I lowered the count of the Psychic energies from I think there were 12 a ton of Psychic energies to 6. So that's it, and those are the changes I made. My question to you now is, how would you have adjusted the original deck list? Feel free to send me a screenshot of your own version of your own adjustments, and also don't forget to leave a comment with the Pokemon duo that you want to see me build, or the PTCGO deck wizard build a deck around for next Wizard Wednesday challenge. And that's it for the deck analysis. I think it's more than time to go into the battles and see if we can pull off a win. See you there. And so our journey, or our quest, begins for the win in the versus ladder against Aries Fire Tiger with a fire and a colorless deck. Very suitable name for my opponent for the type of deck he's playing. I gotta hand it to him. A very, very suitable name. And we get to start off first. Oh, maybe we can start off with the Latios EX. And we do, look at that. Amazing stuff here. We even get a Shaman to boot and a Giratina EX we can put on the bench. Potentially power it up with max elixirs. I'm thinking we are going to be facing a Entei deck, which is that's going to be pretty annoying. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is going to be an Entei Charizard deck, or maybe Typhlosion. That's possible as well. But I'm still thinking Entei because we saw Blacksmith. So we will definitely draw into 2 more cards here, and we have a ton of startling megaphones to. Oh, there's an Entei to deal with the tool attachments from my opponent. And this Entei has Combat Blaze. This attack does 20 more damage for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon, so we gotta be careful here not to bench too many Pokemon. I think first of all, let's take a look at the trainer's mail here. Oh my gosh, it fails, and there are our energies. Well, that's too bad that we couldn't get those energies. I think I actually will go with a Psychic's third eye here right now. And our opponent has a Shaman, a DCE. So I'm thinking we will see maybe a DCE attachment. No, probably not. We'll see a Fire Energy attachment, I'm thinking. And then my opponent could put down the Shaman. Not a very great hand for my opponent. We will discard Sycamore. This startling megaphone, no need for it right now. We have 4 copies, so we have more than enough copies in our deck. And this Ultra Ball, and I will draw into 4 new cards. Hopefully get some energies. There is an energy. There is the Hydreigon EX as well. So we have a ton of things here to boot. We'll even put down the Giratina EX. I think it's going to be pretty important later on in the game. There is a Psychic Energy for the Giratina. And for now, might as well... actually, there's no need to draw into anything right now. So I'm going to go for a fast raid, I think. Let's see here. Yeah, we're going to go for a fast raid. Hitting for 40, immediately putting some pressure on my opponent. And next turn we will probably attach to the Latios EX. I'm not sure which Pokemon I should attach for. Ideally, I want to get a double Dragon Energy. I think that's a little bit better to work with. But this Giratina EX can definitely be very handy with the Chaos Wheel, because then my opponent cannot put any tools on the Ancient Trait Entei, which I'm still expecting to see. I'm not just expecting to see this Entei. My opponent did manage to pull a top deck a Battle Compressor, and indeed gets rid of that pretty terrible hand. Even discards a DCE, which is pretty surprising. I think, yeah, there it is. There is the Ancient Trait Entei. So with this Chaos Wheel, we can prevent our opponent from playing down DCEs and attaching Pokemon tool cards to these Enteis. Which he also plays elixirs of his own. That way, this Entei is nearly powered up. So we gotta be careful for that. It could potentially knock out our Latios EX in one hit if it gets 2 muscle bands attached to it. And that's one way. If we can get a Fighting Fury Belt on our Latios, that will not happen. But then we need to dig for it, so we'll need to start digging for some cards here. We're facing a pretty competitive deck, although I don't think this is a very competitive list, since you rarely see this Entei in the Entei Ancient Trade list. So let's see. I think I'll just attach this to the Giratina EX for now. Then we'll play down the Shaman. And we'll hit for, or we'll draw for 4 cards. And there's a double Dragon Energy. So I think we'll keep it at this. We'll just go for another fast raid. And a turn after that, we can go with the Giratina EX and start hitting with that. I think that's pretty good. For now, we are pretty safe. Our opponent needs to find a way to retreat this Entei, and then it could hit us with this Entei for 130. Or it could just hit us with this Entei for a Combat Blaze. For sure, with a... Oh, and no, that won't be possible anymore. My opponent needs to play a Blacksmith in order to do that. Now he needs a Switch or a Floatstone or any tool that could potentially... or any card, item card that could potentially help him to retreat, like an Escape Rope. But I'm thinking we won't be seeing that, and indeed we do not. So we have a chance here at actually do some perform some great stuff here. Chaos Wheeling seems actually pretty darn good right now. So I think I might go for a Chaos Wheel at some point. We will counter the Stadium. We'll put down another Latios. And then we'll counter the Stadium and turn it this way so that the opponent's damage is reduced from the Fire Pokemon, and so that we can reduce our bench size by getting rid of this Shaman here. That way it's not an easy target for my opponent to knock out. And then I think we should go with a Sycamore. No need to keep these cards in our hands. Sycamore it is. And we draw into a Pokemon Center Lady. Excellent. I will actually keep that in my hand and we'll go for the knockout with the Latios. I might look for a Fighting Fury Belt. Here is a Fighting Fury Belt. We'll attach this to the Latios. That way it will for sure stay alive. And we'll go for the knockout with a fast raid. A turn after that, we will retreat into the Giratina. Hopefully we can get a startling Megaphone if my opponent digs up some tools. That should be pretty good. Here is a Fighting Fury Belt on the Entei itself and a Muscle Band. So there are the tools, as was expected. Do we see anything else though? My opponent is down to 2 cards and a Blacksmith. Blacksmith for just 1 Fire Energy, or 2, it has 2 in the discard pile, onto either the Charizard maybe. Yes indeed, onto the Charizard for the Combustion Blast. So it is about time we start looking our opponents out of the use of tools, I think. We have a pretty great counter against this Entei deck with all of those startling Megaphones. And unfortunately my opponent prevents damage to himself, so... we'll attach this to the Latios EX on the bench. Now we'll look for a startling Megaphone. Oh, and we couldn't find one. That's too bad actually. That is too bad. Huh. Should we dig for one? We could dig for one with the Misty's Determination. And wait a turn to heal up the Latios EX. That's for sure a possibility. I'll actually try and do that. We'll wait a turn. Discard a card from your hand. We'll discard the Latios. And there it is. It was the first card on top of our deck. Startling Megaphone. We'll get rid of those tools. And I will start locking our opponent out of the use of the tools. Giratina EX for a Chaos Wheel. And now my opponent cannot attach DCEs either to the Pokemon on the bench and in the active spot, and cannot counter our stadium. So we'll get hit for, what is that, 130 minus 20, 110 damage. That's what we will get hit for. Minus 20 because of the stadium. And here's the Sycamore. My opponent is down to 15 cards and hasn't taken a single prize yet. I think my opponent needs to be careful for the deck out here. We have a Pokemon Center Lady to heal up our Giratina. We have a Pokemon Center. We have a VS Seeker to get it back and heal up our Latios. There's a Max Elixir. We have yet to hit our own Max Elixirs. We have hit one, but there's still 3 left. Do we see a retreat into the Charizard EX? No, we do not. A heat tackle for 110. If we heal up, we would be at 50. 50 plus 150 means the Giratina EX stays alive. So we'll heal up the Giratina EX. We could actually retreat into the Latios EX on the bench and go for the knockout that way. I don't think, or should we do with the Chaos Wheel? Should we stick with the Chaos Wheel? Maybe we should stick with the Chaos Wheel here. Let's take a look at our Trainer's Mail. Here is a Max Elixir. I will definitely try and use that Max Elixir so that we can potentially go for a Light Pulse. And I think we can here. We just need to find a double Dragon Energy for this Latios EX. So we will hit for the Chaos Wheel. Knock out the Entei. And get our second prize. Still 4 to go. This is still definitely not in the bag for us. We have 2 hit knockouts and this Charizard will hit for a ton of damage onto us. It can, however, not use this Combustion Blast the turn after that. It could go for a Wing Attack, which could actually get a knockout on the Giratina EX. Another Blacksmith going to power up another Entei. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll see the Combustion Blast this turn. There it is. We stay alive with... Oh yeah, I even forgot to... Well, to count the how do you say it? Subtraction of the damage from the stadium. So we could heal up here to 120. But the Entei would for sure knock us out if my opponent decides to retreat. Does not have any energies in the discard pile though, so I'll actually think I will heal up. And that way, if my opponent goes for a Wing Attack for 60, we are still alive. So we'll just keep hitting for the Chaos Wheel for 110. And the turn after that, a Light Pulse will be able to get us the knockout and bring ourselves down to 2 prizes. And here's the retreat into the Entei, and now we could go for a Blacksmith. Should have seen that coming. So it's going to be a knockout here onto the Giratina EX. Yeah, maybe I should have retreated into the Latios EX and not healed it up. That could have saved us a knockout. There's the Heat Tackle, 110 and 10 on the Entei. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's our stadium reduced the damage. That's pretty funny. Our stadium reduced the damage from 30 to 10, and that means we will miss out on a knockout here with our Latios EX. That is actually really interesting. We'll go with the Sycamore and see if we can get some more energy acceleration. There is a Max Elixir. And that's it. We will hit for a Light Pulse and miss that knockout with a hair. Unfortunately, we cannot license around the Charizard on my opponent's bench. So not having access to a listener might actually cost us the game here, as well as the mistake of me leaving the Giratina in the active spot. That might definitely cost us the game. We'll get hit for 110 once more. We don't have any VS Seekers anymore, I think. We are out of VS Seekers. Yeah, this is definitely going to be tricky here for us to pull this off in this game. Even though we have so much damage on the field, we have no way to close off the damage that we put on that Charizard unless my opponent promotes it. Otherwise we are stuck here. And there is a Lysander for my opponent. Might go for a Lysander on the Latios EX. Although we already saw the Blacksmith, so it will be for the turn after that. Let's see, 1 VS Seeker, 2 VS Seekers. Oh no, I thought he used the Blacksmith. He must have not used the Blacksmith then. There's a heat tackle for the knockout on the Latios EX, bringing my opponent down to... Yeah, this is not going to work out for us here. As unfortunate as that is, we will lose the game. I am pretty sure. I should have max elixiered onto the Hydreigon EX. I did not expect that Lysander. But I'm kind of curious. That Blacksmith must have been in the turn before that. In the turn before the previous one. So we'll get rid of those tools once again. And we will hit for... Might as actually get get rid of these. So Sycamore, Ultra Ball, Elixir. Get rid of the Ultra Ball and the Hydreigons. Draw into 3 more cards. There's another starting Megaphone. We need a double Dragon Energy next turn. Fast raid it is for the knockouts. There is a VS Seeker, so we could actually heal up. I thought we were out of VS Seekers, but we still have one, so we could heal up. Although I don't think it will matter. Yeah, this is looking pretty grim for us here. Definitely pretty grim. We'll get hit for a Combustion Blast, and a turn after that my opponent could hit for another Combustion Blast with the Charizard on the bench. Or could power up the Entei, go for a Heat Tackle or a Flame Screen. And that's why decks generated by the PTCGO wizard are not very easy to get wins with. And here is... Oh, why does my opponent say GG? Oh, it's Giovanni's scheme. Here is the knockout. Oh no, it is not. It says GG because, yeah, again, the stadium reduced the damage. So if my opponent could access a Lysander, the turn after that it will be a knockout. Let's see here. Is it pointless to heal up? It is pretty pointless to heal up. I will put down this Latios for now. I will attach an energy to that. And then I will heal up. We really need another double Dragon Energy. That's what we really need. I'll heal up from this Latios EX, and then I will retreat it and attack with the Latios on the bench here for a fast raid, spreading out the damage onto our Pokemon a little bit. If only we could have gotten that DCE for the Hydreigon EX. Here is the retreat into the other Charizard as predicted. Going for another Combustion Blast for 130. So now we have to retreat this Hydreigon EX and another Max Elixir. It fails us. And there is DCE, the double Dragon Energy. I said DCE, it's not a DCE. Last card in our deck. That's really unfortunate. So the only thing I can do here is retreat and knock out, go for light pulse. I could retreat into the Hydreigon and stall that way, but I think we have to go for, well, we don't have to go for the knockout, but I'm going to go for the knockouts. I'm going to take a risk here and hope that my opponent cannot power up anything on the bench there. That's really what I'm hoping for. If we see another DCE, then it is definitely GG. If we don't see another DCE, we stay alive. Unless we see a muscle band, then we get hit for 80. That will be a knockout. Here's an Eco Arm. Going to go for a muscle band, Fighting Fury Belt, and another Fighting Fury Belt. And there's the Sycamore. So my opponent will be able to draw into the muscle band unless it's the last card in his deck. Counters the Stadium. Oh yeah, so with the muscle band it wouldn't have been enough, but with the Stadium counter this, and it was the last card in his deck. Wow, that's pretty lucky there. So my opponent will take the game barely. This is barely took the game there. My opponent 1 versus 2. Oh, that Stadium counter did us in. Without the Stadium counter, we would have stayed alive, and I think we actually could have pulled it off then. So maybe it was too much of a risk. It probably was too much of a risk promoting that Latios EX and getting that knockout. Maybe if I had been more patient, I could have knocked it out with the Hydreigon EX. Yeah, well, it is what it is. I think it was pretty great matchup already. 760 damage dealt versus 970. Yeah, it was definitely, I think, a pretty good match for a deck that was built with the PTCGO deck wizard. I think it held its own against a pretty competitive deck. Giratina EX MVP. We haven't pulled off the win yet, so we have to find ourselves another opponent. Here is the second round, JJBD, second opportunity to get the win. We were close in the last game, but didn't manage to get it, so we have to go for a second game against JJBD with a fighting deck. We start off with a Hydreigon, not the best to start off with. We've got a bunch of cards that are not very useful. The only useful card is the Max Elixir. Oh my gosh, it's a, oh no, it's a, oh my gosh, that's not good. It's a Garchomp deck. That is definitely not good at all. We'll go for the Max Elixir. We hit 1 Psychic Energy. Can we get a double Dragon Energy? I'm going to look for a double Dragon Energy here. We could get the knockout. We could get the knockout with the Shred here. Can we hit it with the Misty's Determination? I'll discard this, and there it is. Yes! Oh, we take the game. Amazing. Oh my gosh. Oh, or not. Wait. Why can't we not retreat? Oh, there's no Stadium card in play. Herpaderp, I thought we had to put down the Parallel City. So we'll put this down, and then we're going to take the win. I was a little bit too ecstatic right there. There we go. We have the game here against Garchomp, turn 1. Super exciting game. That was actually pretty funny. Yeah. We just dunked my opponent there. That was pretty funny. I was super scared there. I pooped my pants when I saw the Gibble, but we managed to hit that double Dragon Energy, and with the Elixir that was enough, and the Stadium. We had basically a perfect hand. I said we had a bad hand, but actually it was a perfect hand here for us. It couldn't have been much better to take the game. Although we took the win here, I think that was pretty silly. So we'll go for one last matchup. And our last opponent for the day is Chatir, again with the fighting deck. Hopefully it's not another Garchomp deck. Well, we've seen we can take the win against it. in a very peculiar way. But I'd rather not deal with the Garchomp deck, to be honest. And we start off with 2 Hydreigons once again. We also have the Max Elixir, no Misty's Determination this time, no Stadium. We could top deck a Stadium and then we could potentially hit the Misty's Determination with a Trainer's Mail and do the same thing if this is again a Garchomp deck. It is not, it is a Lucario deck. Still can be a Garchomp deck. This could be a supporter attacker. So we will have to see. We'll hit the Trainer's Mail. Could get an Ultra Ball, which is I think what I shall do. We'll Ultra Ball away something here. This energy, this VS Seeker. We'll have to go with a Shaman. But before we use a Shaman, we shall use what we have in our hands. We do hit the Elixir. I will attach to the Hydreigon on the bench as well as that. Then we'll attach a Fighting Fury Belt and draw into 6 cards. So we only need 1 more energy on the Hydreigon and we are set to go. Oh my gosh, we draw into 2 double Dragon energies. There is a Sycamore. Might as well go for the Sycamore. We don't have any supporter in our deck, in our discard pile, so we'll end it here. Might have to discard a double Dragon energy at some point because I want to retreat this Hydreigon out of harm's way, out of the Lucario EX's pretty powerful attacks. The Missile Jab for 30, but we all know the fighting support like Muscle Band is not fighting support, but it does help them out. But like Strong Energy, Focus Sash and stuff like that. So Strong Energy in the Stadium, that would make this attack do 90 damage. There is a Strong Energy, we can hit for 70. So next turn that will be a knockout on the Hydreigon. We definitely need to retreat it. Oh, we top deck the Stadium. Perfect. So we will put down the Stadium. We'll keep it this way. There's no way to turn it. There's no reason to turn it to the other side, and then we'll get rid of that pesky Muscle Band. We'll retreat and we'll start attacking, hitting for the Shred for 90, which will be a 2-hit knockout on the Lucario EX. We also have a double Dragon Energy to attach to the Hydreigon on the bench and see if we can power that up. Let's take a closer look at my opponent's discard pile. Focus Sash is gone in the discard pile. Judge, ton of supporters there. Basically all supporters. And another Strong Energy. And another Lucario. Are you kidding me? We get hit for 120 damage. And my opponent gets to draw into 3 cards. That's really powerful there. That is definitely really powerful. I still want to keep this double Dragon Energy in my hand for now. I will go for the knockout here. That's the only thing we can really do. Hit for that knockout. This next turn it will probably be a knockout on our Hydreigon. We get a Sycamore and a Misty's Determination. What should we use? That's the question. Should we use a Sycamore? But then we discard 2 VS Seekers. Oh, and no energy from my opponent. Wow. I'll actually use the Misty's Determination, get rid of 1 Sycamore. It's very sad that we top decked another double Dragon Energy. And then I'll get this Latios and I'll start powering up the Latios actually. So we'll go with the Latios and the knockout on the Hawlucha. And if we stay alive again, we could retreat into the Latios and start going for the Light Pulse. Another starting Megaphone. I'm still expecting to see a Focus Sash or a Muscle Band on this Lucario. Probably not a Focus Sash because my opponent knows we cannot one-hit KO it, so there's no point to putting a Focus Sash on it. What my opponent needs now is either an Energy or a Muscle Band. That's what my opponent needs to knock out this Hydreigon. Energy or a Muscle Band. And there is the Burge. That is pretty risky. It does flip heads. So my opponent had some cards in his hand that he didn't want to get rid of, because he used the Birch and a Buffer Compressor for some more things here. Right now we are looking pretty decent, but still we definitely have not taken the match. We have a damaged Hydreigon on the bench. We have only one backup attacker. Well, actually two, but now we are putting the Latios in the active spots, so that only leaves the Hydreigon as a backup attacker. Hopefully we could hit the Pokemon Center Lady at some point. I'll power up the Hydreigon, or not. Never mind, I didn't say anything. Yeah, we have no real way of powering up another attacker pretty fast here. So probably have to finish the job with these two. I'm still reluctant to go with the Sycamore. I actually could go for the Misty's Determination and see if we could hit that Pokemon Center Lady. I will do that actually. I'll use the VS Seeker, go for the Misty's Determination and see if we can hit the Pokemon Center Lady. And we will discard this Sycamore. We have the VS Seeker for it. We do not hit it. We do hit an Ultra Ball. Do we have a Shaman? So we'll take a look at our deck. Oh, we cannot. Yeah. Do we have a Shaman? Do we actually have a Fighting Fury Belt? Oh, I will actually go for the Fighting Fury Belt then. I think that's pretty good. Go with the Fighting Fury Belt on the Latios EX. And then we'll hit for a Light Pulse. Preventing my opponent from drawing into any more cards with the Corkscrew Smash. Because it denies the effects. Oh my gosh. That's not very good. We'll have to retreat into the Hydreigon then to knock out the Lucario. That's our... Oh, it's only our third Double Dragon Energy. I was under the impression this was our fourth. So we still have one more. We could actually power it up. I'm pretty sure I actually saw it with the Misty's Determination. I should have known. But I think now it's definitely time to go with the Sycamore. There's no time to fool around anymore. And here is the energy that we wanted to hit. It's not enough to hit with a fast rate with this Latios EX, so we have to go with the energy on the Hydreigon. And I think I'll even attach a Fighting Fury Belt to this Hydreigon. I have confidence that it can stay alive. We'll retreat, go for the knockout, and bring ourselves down to one prize against a fighting deck, a Lucario deck, which is actually a very competitive card. And there, oh, the Pokemon Center Lady was prized. That explains a lot. Our Hydreigon should definitely stay alive against the Hawlucha here. And another Zero Sick. Huh. That's definitely troublesome. Those 0-6 might actually cost us the game. Unless we can hit another Double Dragon Energy. Yeah, that's very troublesome there. I think I might go with the Psychic's Third Eye. I want to keep the Pokemon Center Lady in hand. Psychic's Third Eye and discard. So my opponent has Ultra Balls, a Pokemon Center Lady of his own. Well, oh no, I don't want to discard this. I'll discard these. As well as this and the Sycamore. And then we'll draw into 5 more cards. And we get an Ultra Ball and a Shaman. So we'll for sure counter the Stadium. Then we'll get rid of these two. And we have another Hydreigon. Or Latios. I'll go with the Latios. And then I will put down a Shaman. We need a Double Dragon Energy. And there it is. We do hit it. We even get a Trainer's Mail for Max Elixir or a starting Megaphone. I'll go with the Max Elixir for now. Ideally, I want to hit an energy onto the Latios on the bench. Oh, look at that. 3 energy. That's more than enough. So we'll attach that there. And then we will go for a fast raid. I think. Or light pulse here. Yeah, I think that's our best bet at the moment. We'll go with the light pulse, hitting for 120. So if we see another strong energy, that will be a knockout. If we see a muscle band, that will be a knockout. A lot of things will be a knockout on this Latios EX. Strong energy, muscle bands, stadium. Any of these 3 is what my opponent needs. But he has to be careful here. If we can get a knockout, if he does not retreat his Lucario EX, or if he can't knock out this Latios, rather if he cannot knock out the Latios EX, then we will take the game. If he does not retreat the Lucario EX. There is the stadium, so that will be enough. We'll have to go with a fast raid. That's a bit unfortunate, that stadium counter there. Bringing my opponent down to 2 prizes, so all he needs is 1 more knockout, and I think he does have a Lysander in the discard pile indeed. 2 VS Seekers, has definitely 1 more VS Seeker. I will for sure use the Pokemon Center Lady here. Heal up the Hydreigon on the bench a little bit, then I'll counter the stadium. I will go for a fast raid. It won't be a knockout, it won't be a knockout. It will be 10 short. Very, very unfortunate. And we'll get a startling Megaphone in our hands. It will actually be 20 short, we don't have a Fighting Fury belt on the Latios. So again, this can be a knockout here on the Lucario next turn. Unless my opponent retreats it, I'm expecting to see a retreat. Oh, and even attaches a ton. So do we see there's a Lysander, that's going to be a knockout. That's very unfortunate. Lysander for the game from my opponent. Oh, it goes for a Shaman even, doesn't go for the Hydreigon. Even though they both have about the same hit points at this point. And we lose the game here. We were looking pretty good, but as I said, it was certainly not sure that we would take the game, and it turns out that we didn't. I think the most important lesson to take away from today's episode is that the adjusted list should have contained a Lysander. There was no Lysander in that list, and I think if there would have been, we might have been able to close off the first game as well as this last game, because we could have Lysandered out that Hawlucha on the bench and taken a knockout on that Hawlucha to take our last prize. And in the first game we could have done for the same for the Charizard. So it just shows the importance of having a Lysander. But after all, we should not forget that this deck was created within the constraint of having a maximum amount of 10 differences with the original Deck Wizards list. And within that constraint, I did not see room for the Lysander. I did not find room. I thought other cards were more important. Maybe that was a mistake. We know now because it's part of the challenge. Part of the challenge is the fact that the list must be made before playtesting. We have playtested it now, so if I would change something, I would definitely put in that Lysander. And I recommend everyone to put in a Lysander in their decks if they have not yet, because it is such a powerful card to close out games. Nonetheless, I think the deck held its own pretty well against competitive decks like Entei and Lucario. It was barely a loss at all, and I am pretty darn happy with that result. So I think on that positive note, we will end today's episode. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe to my channel for more competitive, silly and fun deck ideas, and don't forget to leave a comment with a suggestion for the Pokemon duo for next week's episode. I hope you have a Karptastic day, and I will see you in a bit.
Karp, 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 Karp.